Okay, preparing to live stream the meeting. It says we're live on Facebook. We will assume we are. Okay, so my name is Mandy and I'm with COVID Recovery Iowa. And I have with me today Annette and Anna, and we're going to be talking about teens and connecting with our teens. And I just want to give you a little background about COVID Recovery Iowa to start, which is a FEMA-funded grant that's in place because of the pandemic being declared a disaster, along with the derecho. And so we're here for that additional emotional support that's often needed in the event of a disaster. And social media is one of our main outlets because we are in a pandemic. We're doing some in-person work, which is good, but a lot of our stuff still happens over social media to try to keep everybody safe. And so here we are doing a Facebook Live about connecting with our teens, which one of the main reasons that it's a good topic to discuss is because we're aware of the data for our 16 to 24-year-old, I think, age range that has the highest rates of anxiety and depression. So there is a great need to address this issue, especially as we kind of go back to school, to help these teens be in as healthy a place as possible so that they're coping well. Plus, we put a poll on parenting in a pandemic, and there's at least one vote. I didn't check it today, but for additional resources for helping their teens and the well-being of their teens. So that's what we're here for today. And since we've been talking about books with younger children, I happen to have a teen. That doesn't make me an expert with being working with teens, but helps me have some light in the area, I think, some awareness. So there's that. And then I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I work with teens. Still, it doesn't make me an expert. Every situation is unique and new, but we have some tools today that might help you, I think, connect with your teen if you're struggling. So with that, one of the things that happened with my, now she's 14, she probably hate it if she saw this, but my 14-year-old we try to incorporate reading into our summer agenda. And so she read a book and she said, "Hey mom," she said, "you should show this for COVID Recovery Iowa." So, and I said, "Well, so, why?" And she's like, "Well, because it kind of covers those things that you've been talking about." That's really all she had to say about it. So I read the book, which, like, light bulb moment, I should do that more often, because an instant conversation starter to have read the same material that she read. So this book, we'll just start with this, if that's all right, you guys, is Blended by Sharon Draper. And it covers some kind of current event topics that I think could be hard to bring up with your child or your teen or anyone. So use a book to cover some of those topics that are difficult to cover. So this one's about divorce and about race issues. She doesn't come from a divorced family. It doesn't mean you can't read a book about divorce. It's good to be aware of what others are experiencing. Anyway, I know Anna had some thoughts about race and divorce, and have at it, Anna. What were you thinking as far as?
Yeah, so for race, growing up Asian, I think one of the things that I've noticed is when people ask me where I'm from, and that can mean a whole lot of things. So some people do just want to know, like, oh, where did you grow up? Like, where did you live? Which would be Iowa. But sometimes they mean, like, what's your ethnicity, or like, what kind of Asian are you? And so I think an important thing with that is to just be aware when you ask people that, or if you're interested in knowing more about their culture, um, maybe getting to know them first and then asking, like, what's your ethnicity? Could be a better way of going about that than just where are you from?
Because so I'm going to assume here that when somebody asks you that, Like it doesn't, something about it doesn't feel good, right? It doesn't feel right, or it feels like they're asking for the wrong reason, maybe. Is that
Yeah, sometimes.
so? Because this girl in this book, it was somebody at a shop that she was going to, and this little girl in this book's like 10, I think. The store clerk says something like, "What are you? You are so exotic looking," and then says, "Where are you from?" Something like that. And then the little girl doesn't really know what to say at that point. And then the store clerk continues on with, "Or are you mixed?" Which she meant a black parent and a white parent. And so anyway, the little girl, 10 years old, it just brings up that issue of, that's a difficult topic, that we can improve on, right? That we can all do better so that people don't have bad feelings when there's a question like that asked. I don't think the store clerk necessarily meant to be mean spirited or anything, but it didn't make the 10-year-old feel good anyway. So the 10-year-old just made up something like, I think she said something like, "I'm from the country of Patagonia," but I don't quote me on that. But anyway, so she made up an answer to deal with it. But I don't know. I don't think 10-year-olds need to be put in that not so feel good situation. Partly because she was really enjoying her experience at that shop. And then that just kind of put a damper on it. And she wanted to leave as soon as possible, kind of thing. So, and I wouldn't say she could name it exactly why. And it doesn't name it exactly why. Because I don't know if we know exactly why, but it doesn't feel good. Especially a 10-year-old who's trying to figure out so much in life. But she knew it didn't feel good. So that seems like unnecessary and like I said, something that we can improve on. So divorce is another thing. I think, Annette, did you want to touch anything about the divorce part? This book is great for that topic too, just to explore all kinds of potential feelings
Right.
somebody might be
I'm
feeling.
not from a divorced family. My husband and I have been married for years, so we're not divorced, but my children I have been divorced. So that blending of families can be tricky sometimes. And I know my one daughter kind of struggles a little bit with, what's happening in the other household, because you now have two households. Your kids are living in two different households. So sometimes that can be difficult, but I always just encourage her, you can control only what you can control. You can't worry about the other. So, there's that stressor, but just remember that, you can control your household and you can't control that other household, as stressful and as anxiety ridden as that might be. But yeah, so there's that. I mean, there's that whole issue of now you have two households instead of just the one. But
Yeah.
that made sense. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. So this little gal, she talks a lot about in fact, each chapter is named for like Mom's Week, Dad's Week, Mom's Week, Dad's Week, just to kind of shed some light onto what kids experience who are going through divorce or might be experiencing who go through a divorce. I think good one for parents who might think, my kid's doing fine or doing even better because we argue less. They're still having to cope with a change and a new situation. And so this sheds a lot of light on that, I think. Again, from that 10-year-old point of view. Food for
And some of
thought.
those struggles are long living. I mean, my grandson, it's been 2 years and he still kind of struggles with mom and dad are divorced. That still causes him some anxiety. So just know that it's a process. It's going to take some time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was the other thing, is that it has a nice ending, but it's not like a fairy tale. Mom and dad get back together, which honestly I think is this girl's hope, kind of through the whole book. So not a fairy tale ending, but a manageable. I do think it's something that you kind of have to cope with the rest of your life, but very manageable.
There's not an end point. It's an ongoing thing, but
Yeah.
like you said, it can be manageable.
Yeah, she's not an unhappy kid. They've learned to deal with it, but it definitely has its ups and downs and moments of flare up. And yeah, so that's that one. Got anything else you want to add about that one? And then we can move on to the other one I wanted to mention. Well, the other one is, and if there's anybody watching, I can't see how many are watching today. But if you have any questions or comments or a book that you want to suggest, anybody that's watching live, if you want to put that in the comment section, we'd be happy to share that out loud here, and would love to hear some more suggestions of books to read for you and your teen. But take time to do that. Read what your teen is reading. Start up that conversation. And something else I wanted to mention was it can be hard to have those conversations when you're with your teens who love their devices, their phones. I'm not opposed to texting my teen, even if she's in my house. Just send a clear message. I'm not opposed to that. But I did find I like to garden, and I have found this week that chopping vegetables, green beans, and cucumbers is a great time to have conversation because she's not touching her phone, not distracted by her phone. She's focused in on this chopping. Our heads are down is another part that I think is helpful. Like, I'm not staring her down, accusing her of anything. We're working on something and having a conversation. So maybe you could make some art together, chop vegetables, cook together, whatever. A task where they can't be touching their phone at the same time, I think could be useful. So, all right, the next book, The Day I Was Erased. I actually bought that book. This book we rented from the library, but I bought The Day I Was Erased and then thought it was so good that I sent it to a friend for her and her daughter to use. But The Day I Was Erased touches a little bit on, I think they get divorced in the book, but it's really not the focus of the book. It's a volatile relationship anyway. And the book is about a little boy in that one. And he has a really hard time at school, constantly getting in trouble, poor behaviors, poor choices. But in the end, I mean, it really helps bring some light to the idea that there might be a reason why a kid is making poor choices and behaving poorly. Like, it might not just be that he's a bad kid. It might not be that they're just a naughty kid. This kid struggled terrible with his parents' relationship. And finally, it kind of came out at the end. And it doesn't say how that everything was hunky-dory from that point on in his future or whatever. But it was a good awareness for his principal, his teacher, for his parents, to know that their volatile relationship was really impacting him. So that's kind of what that one's all about. But I loved it. It's The Day I Was Erased it kind of has this little bit of a, I don't know, sci-fi magical kind of component to it, where he I don't know if he's dreaming or what happens really, but he kind of gets to step back and see life played out and what it would be like if he were erased. So it's kind of has that interesting twist to it, if that and it appeals to anybody. So anybody have any thoughts on that? I know you guys haven't read that book, but and it's for a little bit younger crowd. This one, like I said, 14-year-old enjoyed this one. That one we did as a read aloud at our house with my 10-year-old, and my 6-year-old even listened in. So that one really appealed to them. But any thoughts on that? I think, Annette, you were talking earlier about just you did some work with camp counselors and how good it is for camp counselors to be aware, right, of
one of the components that we were teaching them for coming back after, a pandemic and all the anxieties the kids might have. And, we don't know what's going on in their life. So sometimes just getting down to their level, seeing them face to face, talking to them. Sometimes it's maybe not talking to them. Maybe you're using puppets or you're using stuffed animals or something, because sometimes the kids can't talk to you about what's going on in their life. But yeah, they found that helpful to know those things and to realize that, okay, it's not about this instance that they're acting out in. It might be deeper and have, a bigger meaning behind it. So that was helpful for them. They appreciated that. And another thing that I'm working on some books for our YouTube channel, and one of them I'm doing is The Animal in My Brain, which kind of goes along with that. It talks about the different parts of your brain, and they have these different animals and what they each do, and kind of how each of them works, and kind of helps you understand sometimes why you're doing, why am I having this fight attitude, and it kind of helps you know what part of your brain is in. So anyway, that's coming to our YouTube channel, which I think this would be helpful for teens as well, and not just the younger. It's written for the younger kids, but I think teens might find that helpful, and parents as well too. So check
Yeah,
that out soon on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, coming soon to our YouTube, and Anna happens to be the one that's in charge of getting those things posted so nicely for us on YouTube. So coming soon, we're working on that. It, what was I going to say? Oh, it's hard to articulate. So a lot of what we do with COVID Recovery Iowa and just all mental health counseling, a lot of what we do is trying to help kids have the tools, the words needed to articulate what they're thinking and feeling, because some things, especially like a pandemic, I mean, it's hard to articulate. It's hard. And so when you just say, well, why are you doing that? Or why do you feel that way? Well, that's a hard thing to answer. And so I love books for that reason, because I think it gives you a lot of good vocabulary words and ways to explore your thoughts and feelings. I think it's good stuff. So the Animal in Your Brain one sounds like a good way to be able to articulate what's going on in your body and what you're feeling. So coming soon with an activity to go with it, right? Anybody watching live that has any suggestions for books before we go? Or Anna or Annette, do you have any other? I guess Annette, you shared yours, but any book suggestions?
I can't think of any right now.
That's all right. I know I just put you on the spot. Sorry about that.
I'm not seeing any comments either, Mandy. Kind of
Yeah.
looking over there. So
Good. Thank you for checking, because I never know if mine's refreshing or not. And sometimes it doesn't always work so smoothly. So, well, all right. Well, reach out to us, covidrecoveryiowa.org, if you need any emotional support. We're here for you. We have a teen support group going on over Zoom, a preteen support group. We can put emails of who to contact regarding those groups. And yeah, otherwise we're here for individual support as well. Texting, phone calls, emails, Zoom. So reach out if you need any support and or any more ideas on how to assist your teen. And I think I'm going to meet with a play therapist, Wendy Kepford, on August 3rd for some additional ideas on how to address well-being through some family activities. So stay tuned for that too.
we have the teen video too, if that would be helpful, that are out there on our YouTube channel as well. So might be another source for people.
Yeah, if you need some assistance on helping your teen cope with the pandemic, it's got Maddie Poppy in it. That's on our YouTube channel. She collaborated with us. Some good info from the Department of Public Health on there. Yeah, we can put a link to that on there too. Again, that would be good. All right, ladies. Nice to see you all.
Bye.
Bye.